You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cult of Lore. I'm Eric.
I'm Jerry.
There he is. I'm Ben.
And today is another special episode. You'll notice that it's not coming out on the day that it normally is promised to come out, although that's not normally the day it comes out either. Today
is Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Christmas Eve.
And so we withheld our Christmas release just so we could drop it now. Hopefully, we're not expecting big numbers. People are busy, but hopefully if there are people traveling, you can listen to this, something new.
Yeah.
Although, who knows what people are listening to right now.
Right.
Jingle bells.
And if you're a new listener, ordinarily we cover all things Warhammer at this time.
Yep. Warhammer 40K, although we do branch out to other lores, different types of fictional universes and things, as you're seeing.
Yep, as we are right now. And of course, we are a lore-based podcast. Warhammer stuff now. We have other things that we'd like to do in the future. And if you have any thoughts on that, by all means, drop them in the comments. We are very open to suggestion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. After this, we're planning on our plan. If you know, we don't get anything that immediately diverts that plan, which it could. It could. After 40K, not really after, because we're going to move to covering one video of that a month versus two. We're going to move to Lord of the Rings and start covering that.
Yeah. So get in line behind that.
And then Star Wars is on that list, although that's probably going to end up being a Rumble exclusive. Most likely. But there's a bunch of others we're going to cover that are just like one episoders or whatever.
Yeah.
So all kinds of things.
With that, we'll get into the reason we're all here. The furry, horned, long-tongued being known as Krampus.
Krampus.
I thought you were describing Freaky, our guinea pig.
I was thinking about him, and then I remembered what we were supposed to talk about.
Right, yeah, he's in the back there just eating his hay,
He
little
fits
bastard.
most of the description.
He does.
Yep. Anyway, yeah, so we decided to take a diversion, and we covered Sanguinala, so that scratches the 40K itch, but Krampus definitely seemed to be the next logical choice.
Absolutely. He's a favorite here among us at the cult.
Yep.
Yep.
Most definitely. He's an interesting character, and of course, we covered last year Krampus, the Michael Dougherty film, which is one of my favorite. I love that movie.
That's a really good movie.
So,
heck yeah.
Jerry, what did you know of Krampus before going into this?
Well, I knew that he was like based on like an older kind of thing. And I knew that he, came and was sort of like an opposite to Santa almost.
Right.
But through learning this, I kind of see that he might be more like a companion to like Saint Nicholas.
Right.
Rather than like the opposite.
Yeah, it's not so much a light side and a dark side, more like a dirty work, light work sort of deal.
Right.
They're both on the same goal. It's just one of them has to do what it,
Yeah.
Kind of
the less popular side.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting, a good way to think about it, really. Do we want to get into his origins now?
Absolutely. Eric, why don't you
The best
start with
we
us
can.
with the origins there? You were
Yeah.
telling me you found a couple of pretty interesting possibilities. So I think we can all agree that one of the things we found is that the true origins of Krampus is up to anybody's guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's like a mystery.
It really, yeah.
There's like 3 or 4 stories that kind of seem to be jockeying for the position.
Right. Yeah. And we'll go over some of those and we'll see what you folks think too. Cause again, it gets murky quick.
It does. And there's some, and there's some odd players in this story.
Yeah, no kidding. So one of the first ones that struck me as weird, not the first one I found, but the first one that struck me as pretty interesting is that in Norse mythology, Krampus is the son of the goddess Hel.
Right.
So I had run into that a couple of times, but I was completely unable to verify that and still haven't.
Correct. I came across this as well. And the one citation that I could find for this was from a book by the guy. His name is Brahm. One word.
Brahm. I feel like I've heard of a Brahm before.
Yeah, you have. It was the guy that wrote the book about
Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Dracula.
Honestly, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the guy, but if you're publishing just under the name Brahm, douche.
Brahm, man.
Listen.
I am Brahm.
Listen. Oh yeah. Listen, we all know that his picture is like him holding a skull and he's got the long brown hair and he's like looking through it very wistfully. Yeah. No. But anyway, that was the one. He wrote a book where he made this claim, but I don't think he cited anything, or I couldn't find where he did.
Right. Same.
I could see some correlation though if he was just like making a connection, because he seems very Loki-ish to like Santa's Odin.
He does.
Yeah, that's a good point, right?
And that would, if he was the son of Hel, he'd be Loki's grandson.
Right.
But also I found a report and they didn't back it up a whole lot either, which seems to be kind of the telltale of this motherfucker. Is there's all kinds of things with very little citations.
Yeah.
That the Nazis actually might have implanted this idea of him being part of the Norse mythology because they wanted to instill Germans with this kind of ancient sense of belonging. And so they took kind of distinctly Bavarian and German things and tried to give them this ancient ancestry that they didn't actually have. I don't know about that.
Right.
We're starting to get it. We're going to have to put in a call to Bailey and Ty and see what they think about this shit.
See if there's a conspiracy to be had there.
See if the great Krampus conspiracy.
Yeah. But it wouldn't be the first time that they've tried to take symbols and twist their meaning.
Especially not when it comes to Norse. They were big on their fuckery with that.
They really were.
So you know, to counterbalance that, I too came across the Norse things, but I couldn't find any explanation as to where they got that from.
Couldn't find any roots in it. I found another connection that we'll get into later as we kind of go through some of the other origin possibilities, probably.
Sure.
Yeah. So one, I'll bet all three of us ran into this one. Perkta.
The Perkta. Yeah, that was the one. I kept calling it a perch. But I had to ask Eric like how to pronounce it like 3 times.
Right.
That's the one that came up a bunch. Jerry, did you find?
I did not run into a Perkta.
Oh, really?
What is the
Come
Perkta?
on.
Oh,
right.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Huh.
You guys
That's
are so excited.
I
Yes.
know.
Well, it's cool when the research, like when you're like, oh, this thing comes up everywhere. Surely everybody's found that.
Right.
So what this does is it makes me happy. Just to sidestep for a second, it makes me happy because when you're doing research and you see all the articles that are done on Krampus and you see all the different YouTube videos that are already done on Krampus, and just you're like, well, is there really a reason to cover this when so many other people have? And it's like, yeah, because as we were doing research, the 3 of us, me and Eric thought for sure that the Perkta would come up flat across the board, and it didn't. So
It did
yes,
not.
there is a reason.
Neat. All right.
So no,
right.
it does make me excited. You're right.
I'm excited to learn.
So, Perkta, also known as Berkta, which I think is associated with the word for birch, which comes up. We've all run into the birch stuff.
And from what I found, the Berkta came later.
Right. Okay.
That was a later adaptation.
I see. Okay. Yeah, as the language changes and stuff, because she's apparently an older goddess, sort of crone witch person. She has a duality to her. She can take on two different forms.
I was going to say crone sometimes.
Crone half the time.
Right.
And then the other time she is a beautiful goddess.
Ooh.
And she's kind of got this natureiness to her. I think she's like a protector of beasts or guardian of beasts. And she would go around and reward good behavior and punish bad behavior.
Oh.
And I believe that was, rewarding in her beautiful form and punishing in her crony form. And, she was said to like leave a silver coin in your boot and stuff like that. I think tradition's
very familiar.
Yes, it is. Isn't
Well,
it? Yeah.
Eric was telling me, and I found in a few places, like she's related, kind of associated with Freya.
Yes.
Oh.
And that leads us to that other kind of Norse connection there.
Right.
Because Freya, I think she's also associated with birch. Freya is, and then
to bring it all the way forward, Krampus, as we know, uses a birch switch.
Yep, carries a birch switch. So who knew Krampus may well be connected to Freya? Not what I would have thought, huh?
I think there's a lot of connections of like Yule and stuff like that to Norse.
Right. Yeah, Norse mythology and
So
stuff.
that makes me wonder. I wonder what Krampus looked like in kind of his original male incarnation, right?
Yeah.
Because the way we know Krampus now, which we actually have neglected to kind of touch on Krampus himself, Krampus is a giant goat, like half human, half goat demon, often depicted wearing Santa-esque type clothing, although often shown wearing no clothing at all because of the fur.
Right.
Sheep wool.
Yep. Wrapped in chains and bells.
Yep.
Big horns, the big ram horns.
Yep. Long pointy teeth.
And his whole deal is where Santa rewards the good children, Krampus punishes the bad children, and how bad you get punished depends on how much of a bitch you were.
Yeah.
It can go from leaving you, I found lumps of coal, that's where that came from,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to like being eaten. And in some cases, like with the Perkta, a lot worse.
Yes. So they would cut you open if you were naughty.
Cut open your belly.
Yep. Cut open your belly, disembowel you, stuff you with straw and pebbles, and sew you back up. And that was one of the ways that she would
That was one of
you.
the punishments. Yep.
Yep.
Some of that Krampus justice.
Yes. And also her cult, because she was a goddess, so she had a cult. Her cult would leave out food and drink for her in hopes of, reward, wealth, and, clemency, like stuff like that, material gain. And I believe this was all like during the Yule season, what we would think.
It almost makes me wonder if she was some sort of like partner deity to like the horned god almost, that
right.
And then the two kind of wedded together to become this kind of Krampus entity.
Right. And that would to give some credit to that, neo-paganism today, Wiccan practices and stuff, they have that horned god and they have the goddess who has multiple personas, manifestations. So there's so that's pretty interesting.
Proto-Germanic religious stuff is just oof.
I know.
Boy, it would be nice if we could figure some of that shit out.
Oh, I know. Like find some written records.
Where's the Dead Sea Scrolls of the Nordic text? God damn it! They gotta be there somewhere.
Oral tradition.
Yeah, exactly. It was an all oral to those bastards.
Darn it all.
You're telling me there wasn't one wild Viking? It's like, I'm going to write this shit down. I don't care what anybody says.
Write it down. I can just remember.
Why would I do that? Future generations, I'll tell my kids.
But
it'll be fine.
The Perkta, somewhere along the lines, became less of a goddess and more of a race.
Yes. The Perkten.
The Perkten.
Perkten.
For plural.
And there were beautiful Perkten and there were ugly Perkten.
Which is where they're starting to sound like the Jotun.
It's just like people.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like people.
Oh, there's some ugly people out there. Ugly babies, too. Man, you ever been around an ugly baby? Ugly baby, proud parents. Fuck, what do I do with that? Sometimes you got to lie.
Give him to Krampus. Give
the parents to Krampus.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's better. Sure.
Go right to the source.
So the Perkten were either Perkta's entourage or their own race, and they would go about doling the gifts and or punishments that that were associated with her and would eventually go to Krampus.
Right, which is interesting because in some of the legends, Krampus is not just a entity, but a race of entities, and they've morphed into the group that follows Saint Nicholas around.
Yes, which is a topic that I would love to cover. Maybe in our next Christmas episode is like the companions of Saint Nicholas
That are all basically like. So they all have different depictions and different descriptions, but they all seem to originally have been from this kind of Krampus race, the Perkta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they like his original like elves?
I don't know enough about them
Honestly,
to say.
I would say just from a casual glance, yes. I actually think, we're going to have to do the Cult of Lord deep dive on Santa next year.
Oh,
God-
yeah.
God
Oh,
damn
yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because the Perkta became kind of, instead of being this goddess, they're almost like wood spirits
Right. Yeah.
that leave gifts
Very
and do
animalistic
random
and-
shit. So
yeah.
I definitely could see where that was the inspiration for the elves.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Yeah. So I'm curious. You didn't run across Perkta. What'd you run across, Jerry?
Well, I really like the Krampus Nacht.
Krampus.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was pretty
Yes.
To celebrate. So that was right before the Catholic Church. That was big right before the Catholic Church came in,
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
which is where kind of that in between where you're talking and where Eric's talking is where things get kind of fuzzy
Right.
because we're not really sure when these two kind of crossed.
Right. Yeah.
I think there was a point where like because the church was like condemning a lot of the pagan rituals and stuff that people were used to doing, there was like a bounce back where they decided to like, oh, let's amplify this a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Krampus
Like
kinda
it's
came out
just,
of that.
we'll rein it in then, if not. Yeah. Because people, like, they couldn't control it with the ban. A lot of the communities in that region were still pretty remote. And they'd just be like, nah,
Yeah,
fuck you, I'm doing
there was
this
just
anyway.
no way to enforce it.
Yeah.
And they kind of eventually made him more like Santa's bitch.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
to kind of soften the entry
Yeah.
of Krampus into. He became less of a partner and more of a servant to Santa.
Right.
Krampus is almost always shown wrapped in chains and bells. There's a lot of discussion about how the chains and bells got there.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a lot of people claim that it was the Catholic Church trying to make a symbol of binding the devil.
Mhm.
That's not in anything. That doesn't come from anywhere.
Yeah. It's another one of those things. You can't source it.
Nope. And
Yeah.
iron and bells were used in pagan traditions all the time. If you were going to dress yourself up in iron, chains would be your natural, easiest way to do that. So it is possible that the chains and bells might actually have the older tie to it than binding the devil. Because I could definitely, a lot of these changes, I almost could kind of see the pagans being like, yeah, okay, we'll let the church think that that's what, that's what it means.
Whatever you say. That's what the chains
Yeah,
are
yeah,
for,
you're binding
sure.
them.
Play along.
Yeah, we're binding them in bells so you can hear them coming. No, bells don't mean it. I mean, whatever. So,
Yeah. So I have another. This one is so speculative for me. This is a being who did exist in Germanic folklore, but his tie to Krampus will
very,
see.
very thin, huh?
At least as far as I could tell. I found him on my own and thought to myself, oh, he's from the right place and he shares a lot of the right qualities.
Was this your own one you stumbled across, or did somebody pitch it?
So I came across it. No one pitched this to me. I came across it as like other things you might be interested in, right? So I chased that.
Okay, cool.
And
All
this
right.
being is called Belsnickel.
Oh, Belsnickel.
It's mentioned in The Office.
Yeah.
Rip.
Yeah. I came across so the reason why I know that it's referenced in The Office is because Belsnickel came up in my research.
Really?
And of course.
Oh, okay.
I don't condone The Office. I don't believe I've watched a single full episode of The Office. That's got Steve Carell in it, right?
It does, yeah.
See, that's why I didn't watch it.
Jeez.
Steve Carell and Will Ferrell could just Led Zeppelin themselves into history and it'd be just fine.
So Belsnickel.
Belsnickel.
Yes. Yeah, in the show, Dwight is very like old German.
Ah.
So he's like celebrating Belschnickel around the Christmas time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like kind of an evil garden gnome.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's okay. That's a good way of putting it. I'll go through. I wrote out his traits. I can't remember them offhand, but he wears fur, Sometimes a mask with a long tongue. So there's a long tongue. Our description of Krampus should also include he
often has a long tongue.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
This
leads to some interesting Christmas cards.
Does. It does. He wears Belsnickel wears dirty, tattered clothes. He carries a switch to beat naughty children with.
I bet it's made out of birch.
It is.
It is? Yep. Okay. So,
I'm sorry. I was thinking Krampus. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure with Belsnickel, but Krampus it is.
I bet it is.
Yeah. Pockets full of candies and cakes for good kids, nuts maybe. And he may have evolved from a companion of St. Nicholas named, why did I do this to myself? Knecht Ruprecht, which means servant Rupert, who's part of Santa's entourage.
Yeah.
So I speculate that he might have had at least influence on Krampus or vice versa. Hard to say. Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I saw for Belsnickel kind of puts him a little bit on the later end. That he might. One of the kind of pitches that I was sold for Belsnickel was that he was a way for the German immigrants to bring the tradition of Krampus over to other areas that were highly Christian without the devil iconography attached to Krampus.
I see. Okay.
So he might have been a more sanitized version of Krampus, perhaps,
or something that pulled.
But once again,
where
do you? So this stuff was all like built in villages that were in these deep, dark Bavarian woods that just don't talk much to each other.
Yep.
So
a lot of isolated traditions that grew from similar sources and then became their own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is another. So I actually, Belsnickel, I think, is tied to Krampus. Which one came first, or whether they're both adaptations of the same thing.
Right.
You got me.
Yeah. So there, at least you've listened to the speculative, murky origins of Krampus that we have.
Yes.
And very similar to the being that we have here today, huh?
Yes, right. And he's actually seen a resurgence. In modern times, modern popularity. The Krampusnacht they do that now.
Yes,
in Germany, it's a big thing. You can
Austria,
Germany.
Yep.
You can find all kinds of cool. I would love to go to one. I'll never be in that area though.
I think they might do one in Cincinnati.
Oh, cool. That would make sense.
Maybe.
There's a heavy like German heritage.
I wonder if there's one in the German village in Columbus. And if there isn't, we could get one started.
Oh, that'd be cool.
There is one. Bailey's shaking her head yes like a mad person. Well, either way, maybe we could attend. We could find one and attend one for. That would be cool.
That would be pretty wild.
But the ones that I've seen work is it's adults dress up as Krampus, and there's one. Maybe two guys, although it's usually they try to designate one to dress up as Santa.
Yeah.
And he goes around with them, and the Krampuses are supposed to go out and listen, be nice. You're supposed to scare the kids that are in the crowd.
Yeah.
How far you want to push that depends on how. Listen, fuck the dad, watch the mom. We all saw Will Smith smack Chris Rock, and we all know that it was Jada giving him that nasty ass look. You don't watch the dad, you watch the mom.
Oh my
if you're scaring the kid and that mom starts giving the dad that shit look, you get the fuck out of there. Beyond that, terrorize the little bastard.
Watch out for the mama bear.
Yeah, you watch for her. You don't watch him. He don't care.
So they'll scare the kids. They'll also whip adults with the birch rods.
Yeah.
Because they'll often carry these rods with them.
I'm going to get a riding crop and tape green pipe cleaners to it, and we'll call that a birch rod.
Sounds good.
Drinking and celebrating, I think.
Yeah, that's the other thing is they're all they're blitzed because like you're supposed to give the adults dressed as Krampus schnapps.
Yeah.
For it's like an adult trick or treat.
Yeah. So an adult trick or treat, which I am so here for. That sounds good. I think I look good in horns. No one else? No one else? Okay. Moving on then.
Me and Jerry just
like,
But then, of course, he's seen a resurgence in horror movies, too.
Yes. Of course, Krampus.
There's the Michael Dougherty Krampus.
Yeah.
There's Krampus, the Christmas Devil, which I have not watched.
Nor have I.
There's a ton of them. Guys, reach out in the comment section. Let us know if there are any of them that are actually worth watching.
Yeah.
That are not the Michael Dougherty one.
Yeah. Because he's of course, like an easy pick for like Christmas related horror, you know?
He is, but it doesn't feel like he's gotten really proper treatment a lot of the time.
No. The only one I can think of was the one by Doherty. He made it a very like fantasy horror,
Which
sort of. It was perfect.
Listen,
I
can slob knob his stuff again. I do it every time he comes up. Like whether it's Trick or Treat, Krampus, or King of the Monsters, like the guy just does no wrong by my opinion.
He's gonna leave a silver coin in your boot.
I hope so. He better. He'll help me afford the knee pads. He needs to put out another monster movie and toot quick. I need to look and see what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, one of the cool things that I found is that during the Krampus Nacht, a lot of the costumes kind of inhabit the elf part of it, where they're very Santa's henchmen-y, it seems like.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like that dynamic.
Yeah, especially it seems like that St. Nicholas is there to supervise them as well as to reward good children and stuff. Yeah.
I do kind of dig the idea of it's actually the elves that are the ones that punish people, and Santa's like just holding this horde of evil things at like
Santa's little helpers.
Yeah, he's like, I force them to work so that they don't take their wicked ways out on the world, like they over punish.
Oh, that's a good man. I like it. I like it. Headcanon.
That's the way there's a Guillermo del Toro Krampus film right there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, and they kind of fit with that too. Their elves were little in the movie. Their elves were little tiny,
like vicious
they were
little.
Like, they're cramping.
They were, which we also forgot to cover.
Oh yes,
Krampus got his name by the Germanic word. Is it German or is it Germanic?
It is German, more or less. I think.
Okay.
I think Old German for maybe
Krumpen, which is claw.
Yes. And also, I found another. It could have also been, if I find it, could have also been Bavarian for a word named Krampen, or a word Krampen that could mean dead or rotten.
Yeah.
I like you take them both.
Yeah. I mean,
dead or rotten claw.
You kind of bring those both together, and it does still paint a pretty Krampus-y sort of picture.
Jerry, have you watched the Krampus?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I did. I like it. I liked it.
That's good. We can still be friends. This was, in fact, a test. I'm glad you recognized it.
Well, you guys will see Jerry on the next episode.
He gets
still hanging in there.
Merry
he gets
Christmas.
to leave.
Despite my puns.
Oh, my God.
What else? Do we know what else goes on Krampus night? Krampus Nacht? I know that
those masks are beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially the ones in like the Austrian one.
Oh, I
Did
wish.
you guys see those?
Yes, I wish I would have saved. So the artist, I don't have the name on it. Guys, let us know in the comment section what it's called, or we'll have Eric put it up. Future Eric put it up. Nah, Future Eric, fuck off. We're gonna make the audience do it. There is a specific term for the artists that make those masks. Like
Really?
it's such a term. It's it's got Krampus in it because that's the way they're
Krampus Smithman.
Yeah. But there's an actual term for artists that make the Krampus masks.
No kidding.
Yeah, so they're really intricate.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Jeez, that's pretty amazing. I'll bet. Oh, I love traditions. They're so much rich like artisanry that goes into stuff like this.
I do too, and you know what? It does Santa. It does the big man a service too.
Yeah,
you need that. It's like holding up a negative to a photograph, right? It makes the white and red of his uniform stand out all the brighter, having this dingier, edgier, but cooler uncle.
Yeah.
I like it.
I agree. Yeah. No, it's a good vibe. Good Yule vibe.
Yeah. The yin and yang is Yule vibe.
Yule vibe.
Yule vibes.
Hashtag Yule vibe.
Hashtag Yule vibe.
We don't. I know the things. So I think does that seem to be it for everybody? Jerry, do you got what do you got to add?
No, I don't have anything.
He almost had an idea.
Almost. We could talk a little more about the kind of punishments that Krampus would inflict upon
That's true. We didn't touch on that, did
victims.
we?
Yeah, not as much. We did here and there,
So they come in certain tiers, although the tiers seem to be non-distinct.
Right. And
level 1 is you get a birch swing. Well, no, level 1 the lightest punishment that I found in my research was the giving of coal.
Yeah, right.
Although a lot of research I found didn't tie that to him, but I did find
I found a few that did, but others that didn't. I think they would also give him something called a root, RUTE, which is like a twig that is painted gold for the parents to hang up in the house to remind the kids all year about Krampus.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I found that as one thing.
I like the rusted bell better, but that's cool.
Yeah, the rusted bell. Yeah. We should have him consult with
marketing. Marketing's how we're going. Marketing.
So the lowest tier seems to be like a reminder of some sort. That coal
instead of a gift.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Although if you're poor enough, that coal's looking mighty nice.
Yeah. I get to be warm for a few minutes.
I get to live. I can die with my toy truck, or I can burn this coal and live. Fuck you, Santa. But after that, it's kidnapping.
Yep. Into the burlap sack you go.
It's either sack or like a basket on his back.
Yeah, I found it being a sack or basket.
Yeah. Yep. I forgot about the basket. And yeah, he'd just take you away. And I think I ran across one. This might be wishful memory, but that he brought you back eventually.
I did, in fact. I did, in fact, find some accounts of him actually returning. If you were repentant and not quite so bad, that he would return you after poking fun at you.
That's pretty mild.
I mean, basically, like, he takes you, terrorizes you, scares the shit out of you, but leaves you unharmed.
Okay. It's like scared straight.
Yeah. Right. All right. Now get out of here.
After that, it was so I kept finding the next level after that I found was like mutilations, but I couldn't find specific.
Specific mutilations.
Yeah.
It's probably up to the parent threatening him.
Well, I was like,
don't know.
So I went with like chewing off of fingers, things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then
teeth and
then the next level after that is he just eats them.
Yep.
There was one where he like drags the kid to hell.
So that's actually considered to be the one below being eaten.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, don't ask me how that works.
Right. It'd be worse to go to hell than to be eaten by Krampus.
So the only way I can figure it is that they're like, if you're eaten, you still go to heaven.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. Of course.
Anyway, there's a dog. There's a happy dog over there. Got distracted for a bit, but anyway,
he's cute.
Yeah. You know what? I have to admit that on the list of ways to die, being eaten alive is like second or third on my biggest nopes.
Oh yeah, that'd be horrible. That'd be horrible.
But being dragged to hell like Event Horizon style by a horned demon, okay, you got me.
Yeah.
So I can concede that being the lowest tier.
Right. Yeah. No, I get you. That makes sense.
On the other hand, you can just not be a little shit.
Behave yourself. Mind your parents.
Yeah.
Finish your allotment of wool gathering for the year. That was something. Yeah. The if you didn't have. Oh no, I might be getting my legends mixed up. That might be the Yule Cat I'm thinking of.
Oh.
Yeah, the Yule Cat in uncitable mythology, because I don't have that in my notes. I'm just remembering this shit offhand. Giant cat that would roam the wilderness, and if you weren't wearing new clothes during the Yule season, he would eat you because that meant that you were lazy and didn't finish your wool work at the end of the year, because that was how they would reward their
Okay, I want a bumper sticker that says "My Krampus kicks your Yule Cat." That's weak sauce.
I know.
Whatever society is like, well, we have the Yule Cat. It's like, boy, we nope.
Listen, I'd still rather run into the Yule Cat than Krampus, but being eaten by a giant cat would be absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
That'd be
it's
bad.
pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
If I know right.
Yeah, and cats.
You know of the Yule Cat.
I've heard of the Yule Cat.
You too have heard of
a fellow Yule Catian.
A fellow Yule Catian.
It's another tie with that.
Has our audience heard of the Yule Cat?
What?
I have never heard of this cold pussy. I've never heard. I don't know what a Yule Cat is.
It's another tie-in with like Freya, because she was like the goddess of cat.
Oh, so we are talking about a cold.
Yeah.
All right,
Freya is associated with cats.
That's a cold. That's a cold one.
That's a yeah. So anyway, that was a little divergence for some reason. My bad.
The audience has not heard of the Yule Cat. Don't you fucking lie to me.
It's okay. Krampus will take me away later, folks, for that one.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Ty's Bulgaria movie, Krampus v. Yule Cat.
Oh,
We can do a holiday movie.
that would be great. Sounds
Claymation.
claymation.
Oh, listen. Now you're cooking.
Woof. Oh
I
God.
hope we have a lot of free time on our hands. I'm not saying no, but I'm saying I'm going to need a lot of Prozac.
So what haven't we covered about Krampus that we wanted to? Because of course, as our listeners have no doubts concluded, this is quite a big well to draw from. As far as
there's
Krampus goes. Yes.
Yeah, this was, again, none of our stuff is ever meant to be like comprehensive.
No.
It's just cool stuff that we want to explore more on. I found the Christmas card kind of evolution was interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that was pretty interesting. Krampus.
Krampuskarten.
What he said.
It's like Krampus card. Krampuskarten.
Stop it.
Somebody's got to sound like they're pronouncing this shit right.
No, that's the problem. If somebody starts doing it right, we're all fucked. Do you realize how dumb that makes us sound?
Put it in a Krampus carton.
Don't act like you know that's what that sounds.
Dang old Krampuskarten.
But they were originally just Krampus cards that depicted Krampus as standard.
Right.
But as other cultures got a hold of them that were like neighbors, but didn't really seem to understand their tradition a whole lot,
right?
Started making them sexy. And I mean, it's like in the 1920s. Older?
Good. They looked older, so like 1920s and so. Yeah.
Further back, even. It's such a weird thing to become
century.
racy back then.
Yeah, 19th century. So yeah, probably early. Yeah, and they. It's weird. There were some female Krampuses that.
There were some Krampusinas.
Yeah, some Krampusinas with nice figures, and then there were long-tongued Krampuses doing weird things with their tongue, or having other people. Like I saw one where he had like a woman's head in his hands and he was putting it in his lap. It gets raunchy. Krampus raunchy.
There was, we're going to find some examples of them here.
No.
Here.
No.
And here.
No.
Whatever it takes to sell these cards,
Do you
gentlemen.
know how long I have to stare at these?
And he's got to figure out a way to blur the naughty bits.
Oh, no. I have to learn how to blur. Damn it. I didn't blur Slanesh. I won't blur this shit.
Oh yeah,
We'll
this
see.
is history, you two. Susan, you cold-hearted bitch. This is history.
Just put a picture of Sasquatch on it.
Yeah, over the naughty parts.
Krampus and Sasquatch.
I would like that.
Oh man, this has gone so far off the
I
rails.
know. But that was actually the earliest time I could find that he was actually associated with any sort of sexuality.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even like with what he punished. You know what I mean? It was always
Well,
like,
listen,
not
it's
getting
all about kids. There shouldn't be any.
God, you're right. Good point.
I find it weird.
Yeah. There's weird. Yeah.
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 I'm not dressing up as Santa. It's just weird.
You're not dressing up as Santa.
Oh.
Are you going to dress up as Krampus?
There's this website called Bad Dragon. With that, you could dress up as Krampus and make it interesting.
I don't want this to be the last thing that we talk about.
How did we get out of here?
The Grinch.
The Grinch.
The Grinch
What is
probably evolved from Krampus.
Ooh, I wonder if the Grinch was an evolution of Krampus. Thank you, Jerry. I'll take this stretch and roll with it. Let's talk it now. What are the similarities between the Grinch and Krampus?
They're furry.
They're furry.
They're
That's
furry.
right. They live off in the wilderness.
They're
Live off in the wilderness.
Cranky. I don't know if Krampus hates Christmas.
Krampus is not really anti-Christmas,
He
though.
doesn't seem to be. Yeah, he has a whole night. December 5th?
Krampus is not a thief.
No, he's not a thief, is he? No, it's just about punishing. Yeah,
The Grinch doesn't kidnap intentionally.
not intentionally. No, he wouldn't want to deal with those little whoos. And he came around in the end. Krampus hasn't changed his ways.
And that's because, the Grinch is spiteful. Krampus is not spiteful.
No.
You earn what you get from him.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you feel like you've earned that, like whether it's proportional.
Yeah, he's kind of along for the ride
Right.
a little bit.
Yeah. And he doesn't seem to be evil in the way, like, I know there's a lot of the times it's like, oh, he's the evil version of Santa and stuff, but he might, I mean, a lot of the time it just comes across as he's just got a job to do and he's doing it.
Yeah. I will say that to me, Krampus seems to embody much more of a force of nature than what Saint Nick does. Saint Nick seems to be, which, you know, kind of makes sense. I mean, from the Christian perspective, certainly, but also like, if you were going to frame things, if we're going to kind of ignore the pagan point of view for a minute, but just because they try to do things, they split it down the middle, right? Like the person was good and bad.
Right.
They tend to take a balanced approach. But if you were going to like divide things in this kind of direction, it makes sense to me that you would give Krampus, who is kind of this punisher in this more harsher form, a more of a natural feel, because especially back then, nature was harsh and cold and punishing and cruel. And so the notion that Gypsy's got on the power cord, oh God. So it makes sense to me that Krampus would be like this, that you would set him up as like the darker, kind of more natural, because nature is cruel and harsh and is punishing.
Yeah.
And that you would want St. Nicholas, who is this spirit of goodwill, to be more of an embodiment of mankind's kindness to each other. Because especially in those areas, you wouldn't look at nature as kind, especially in the winter.
You're right. That's
so
a good point.
I could see where it would be useful to break Krampus and Santa off into two different characters as opposed to being the flip side of each.
Right.
And using St. Nicholas as a symbol to rally mankind, or at least, you know, your villages and the people in it, against these harsh conditions.
Yeah. I think that's very well put. And that does make a lot of sense.
So, yeah.
Spread it out. Not make, don't put all the responsibility on the one being, because if you get resentful of that one, that's the one that also gives you the good stuff. So, yeah, makes sense to break it up. Yeah. Specialize.
It also helps set a dichotomy of people overcoming nature.
Yeah.
Which is useful in society, especially in those primitive times.
And it pops up in those stories a lot. Yeah.
It does.
So that makes sense. Yeah.
What do you think?
I like it.
I like it. All right.
Kids getting beat with switches.
People being dragged to hell. Fingers getting nibbled on.
People getting licked with giant tongues.
You're going to find that right? Yeah.
Damn it.
But anyway, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this Christmas Eve special.
That sounds good.
So, guys, we just want to thank you all for joining us on this Christmas Eve. We hope that we were able to make any travel easier, or anything you guys go
more
on.
Enjoyable if you could.
Just give you something to listen to while you're doing whatever annoying task you have to before the holidays conclude. So with that, we would like to wish you guys a happy Hanukkah,
a happy Kwanzaa,
a Yule,
winter solstice,
a happy soil,
a merry... Oh, damn it.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, you got that one.
Las Posadas,
Boxing Day,
Chinese New Year,
Festivus,
for the rest of us,
Xmas,
Sanguinala, of course,
Life Day,
and of course, Christmas. So, from all of us here at Call Talk Net, I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Michael.
I'm Bailey.
I'm Urs.
I'm Ty.
And we wish you all a happy holidays. Guys, be safe on all your nights out there. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next time.